I'm Doug, and just this guy. That intro thing, and this so far seems to be working reasonably well. I'm used to doing this with a projector with a room full of people, and I can never figure out how to work the projector. And so far, I think I'm going to be able to figure out how to make this software work. But if stuff goes chaotic, this is my first live, and I'm getting used to how this thing works. I'm working on 3 platforms, broadcasting at the same time, and there's 2 of them that I have no idea how to operate, even if it wasn't on a live. So we'll see. This could be a comedy of errors, probably worth sticking around just for that. Tonight, I'm going to talk about some things that work for me. It might not vibe with you, this might not be for everybody, but a year ago, I was half dead. I felt like hell. I was 300 pounds. I'm still chubby over the holidays, but I dropped 50 pounds in something like 3 months healthily. I was miserable in a lot of ways. I was very sick. My lungs were screwed up. All kinds of things. And I basically turned a lot of things around. And I'm going to talk about some of the methods that I use to do that, but I want to put them in context. We're going to talk tonight a little bit about chakra work, and that is used in meditation. The reason I'm starting with this is because a lot of times people get into a meditation class and you try to say, visualize this chakra, or visualize that, or talk about energy flow and kundalini. And a lot of times people don't really understand exactly what that means. And I'm coming at this from a Western point of view. I'll talk about that in a little bit, but what you're seeing here is what's worked for me. It's not going to be in a lot of the Eastern traditions. So if you're coming from this from a tantric yoga position, or if you're a deep practitioner, this is mixed a lot of different things. And I'll talk about what some of them are. I'm going to talk a little bit tonight about the Kabbalah, a little bit about the tarot. It's going to be a surface overview. We're not going deep on anything tonight because I'm trying to make this chaos work for me and figure out how it goes. But I'll be on here next week, hopefully with a little bit more in-depth, deeper details. But I think that this should be a little something for everybody. I hope you guys enjoy this. And tell me what you want to hear, what you want to learn, and we'll toss it in next time. I'm also going to be bumping up a bunch of online meditations, guided meditations, on a couple of different sites for free. I'll make sure you guys can get to them. I'm going to do some stuff for nighttime relaxation, anxiety, and things to do chakra work. I hope it helps. You know, I'm not everybody's cup of tea, right? But I firmly believe that the majority of us on this planet, we're broken toys. It's just the way the world is now. And, you know, if you've only dealt with first world problems, right, if you've only had to deal with small things, the stuff I talked about might not resonate. I hope it does. I hope everybody gets something about it. But really, some of these things I'm going to talk about are for deeper issues, healing, and that sort of thing. But we're going to have a good time while we're doing it. There's a lot more to come, a lot more to talk about. Be patient. I ramble on, as you can tell. This is my first time on this, doing a live. I'm used to doing it in person, so when everything blows the hell up, well, it'll be entertaining at least. Let's see. What else do I need to babble on? Oh, yeah, I'm a horrible guru. I say fuck a lot, so get used to that. And I'm going to go over to the computer now, turn that on, turn it up, and see if I can actually operate this thing without blowing anything up. Welcome here. So I just want to share real quick. I'm building out a website, www.meditationunchained.com. It's not done yet, but it's got a few cool features. I expect to be actually fully complete by the end of the week next week, but right now it's got some things that you might want to go play with. There are courses on there, but don't worry about those right now. They are available, but that's not the main purpose of the site. That's just to help fund the site for everything else I'm going to do with it. Everything you're seeing on there as a course, I'm going to probably end up teaching for free on here on this live. So if you made it to this, don't worry about the courses aspect, but there's a community aspect on there and some resources that you might really dig. You can sign in with Facebook. You can sign in with Google, just like most regular websites. Whatever works. When you get inside, like I say, it's not built out fully yet, but if you go up to the app section and look under 2 things, you've got daily news, and what I've done is set up RSS feeds to go out and go all over the web and find some of the best things in different spiritual aspects. You've got everything from Wiccan and pagan. You've got a little bit of stuff on the Torah, but basically anything that might be interesting to people who are spiritual seekers of any type. And if you're running a Facebook group and you're looking for content to share, this is a really great resource to be able to go out and grab that stuff all in one place and not look all over the place for it. So it'll save some of you guys a little bit of time if you want to use it. Now, the other thing is I took under the best resources and I put links to some things that I think could be really useful. Don't take the fact that I put anything there to be a blanket endorsement of it. Like a good example of this is 3HO. 3HO, if you're working on Kundalini or working on anything like that, they are a fantastic asset for it. They've got tons of Kriyas, they've got tons of advice and tons of great things, but some things about the organization is a little bit problematic, but still a valuable resource. For books and things like that, I found several sites online that have free downloads of different PDFs and occult and esoteric works and spiritual things. Of course, sacredtext.com is the absolute granddaddy of them all, and it's great, but there's some others out there, and there are links to that. So basically, I put some resources in there to help you guys find things for free online to be able to use and to work with. I also, a bit of plug for myself, I put a couple of my older guided meditations up that are on Insight Timer. Now, that's under the guided meditation section of this, and I'm about to drop a whole bunch of them just directly on this site for free, as many as I can. I'm going to be putting those out. So if anybody's got any requests for guided meditations of any type, let me know. I'm going to do a lot of them for like a yoga nidra type relaxing at night. So all right, let's go. Tonight's class is going to be just a short little talk on chakras, Kundalini energy, and how they work in the context of meditation and personal transformation. This is all part of the system of internal alchemy that I've been working on the last couple of years, and it combines Eastern and Western esoteric traditions, psychology, and a few other things in the mix, and it just works. It doesn't matter what your spiritual belief is. It doesn't matter whether you think this is woo-woo bullshit or you think this is some amazing life path that's been rediscovered. It doesn't matter. Trust the process. It works. A lot of times when doing meditation, you're told to focus on a certain chakra. Well, I'm going to walk into this and say that tonight, it doesn't matter if you don't know what the hell a chakra is, you've never heard of Kundalini energy, you have no idea what those terms mean, where they came from, or anything. On the flip side, I bet even if you've been practicing for years, you can be a Reiki master, you could be a Kundalini yoga practitioner. I bet you that during this class tonight, I'm going to talk about some things that you didn't know. So hopefully this class is going to have something for everybody. Now, I do want to say that the majority of what I'm going to be talking about tonight comes from Western esoteric tradition. Some of it is based on things from people who think that they're teaching Eastern esoteric tradition, but it's actually based on Western ideas. I may get into that a little bit, but it's kind of complicated. It goes back to some mistranslations back in the early 1900s. That's neither here nor there. I'm going to try not to nerd out too much tonight and keep this with some basic facts and some things that are actually usable, practical. Let's see how well I can stick to that, because y'all know how I like to go off on history. Now, in order to talk about chakras, we need to talk about the energy system in the human body before we get to the chakra point. And there are 3 energy channels that we're going to focus on. Now, the energy channels are called nadis, and Some say that there are up to 72,000 of those in our body. But for our purposes tonight, for the Kundalini flow, we're going to focus on 3. Now, if you look at the diagram, you'll see that there are 3 different energy channels that flow through our body. The main center channel is the Sushumna. Now, you can think of it as kind of a neutral energy. The other 2 channels both have a polarity. The center channel does not. The left channel is Ida, and it is the feminine energy. It is that Kundalini feminine side that you hear so much about. It's lunar energy, it's cooling, and as far as the polarity goes, it would be considered a negative polarity. It's the nurturing, divine, feminine side of this energy. On the right side, we have the Pingala energy. Now, this is the masculine energy. It is more action. It is more physical, more movement, a little more harsh. Now, this is a solar as opposed to a lunar-based energy. And it again is the masculine side of the energy. Now, if you notice those polarities, that goes back to the Hermetic Principles. If you've ever been in one of my Hermetic Principles classes, you probably remember we have the principle of polarity and the principle of gender. That all things have a polarity and all things have a gender. Now, those 3 energy channels don't just go straight up and down the spine. They loop around. The energy channel from the left moves to the right and back. They intertwine, going up all the way through the body and flowing back down. That pattern is one of the reasons why Kundalini has been described as serpent energy. It's a dormant energy that lays coiled up at the base of your spine until it's activated. That symbol you see in the top corner, the staff with wings, is called a caduceus. That is the staff of Hermes. You may have seen it on amulets. It's a symbol of healing. And it also kind of lays out the way Kundalini runs. At the spots where those 3 energy channels cross each other is where you're going to find most of your major chakras. If you look at that, you'll see what I'm talking about. Where the energy from the left crosses over to the right, they cross over each other. And in the center is our ground. This is a chakra diagram most of us are very familiar with. This shows the locations of the chakras in our body. But the chakras are not just spots. Think of it like this. It's not just a spot on your spine or the spot on your chest in the front of your body, wherever the location may be, but it goes all the way through the body. At the spots where those 3 energy channels intersect and that whirlpool of energy is created, forming a chakra, it flows all the way through the body. And if the chakras are clear like they should be, the energy just flows and moves on up to the next one, and flows and moves on up to the next one. That's one reason why in practice, always start working with the root chakra first. Everybody who's ever taught meditation or Kundalini or anything like that, I guarantee you've had a student come up and say, please help me open my third eye. Well, you really don't want to do that until you build that foundation first for a lot of reasons. But to get that energy going all the way up like it should, all the way up through all the chakras, to the third eye, to the crown, start with the root and get it right first. Now, let's go back and take another look at the caduceus we were talking about earlier. I want you guys to notice something. The caduceus, the staff of Hermes, is not just a diagram of the flow of Kundalini. Look at the positive and negative aspects when you see those 2 serpents the way they're traditionally done, along the rod in the middle. It's also a diagram of the Kabbalah. This picture makes it a little bit more obvious. If you look, you see the two pillars, Jachin and Boaz. In front of King Solomon's temple in some traditions. But they also represent two pathways on the Kabbalah. The diagram that we're seeing here, the Kabbalah has modified many times over the years, but the diagram we're seeing here is considered to be a map of the cosmos. It's a map of, you can say God if you want to. It's a map of understanding the everything. It's also a map of understanding ourselves, because as above, so below, as within, without. The microcosm is a reflection of the macrocosm. Now, if you look, Boaz is the path of severity. It is the hard path to understanding. It is masculine energy. It is action. It is force. Yakin is the path of mercy, the more feminine energy. It's lunar as opposed to the solar of Boaz. So this corresponds with the Kundalini energy. Now, the middle path in the center, the mild path, the center pathway, the middle pillar, is a balanced path, a more grounded path, so to speak. So again, you have the reflection in the paths on this system with the path of Kundalini. Now, if you look at the High Priestess card, you're probably wondering, why is there a tarot card in this, and what does that have to do with anything? I put the tarot card in there for two reasons. Now, reason number one is I wanted to show the correspondence here between the Kabbalah and the tarot. If you look, this card comes from the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, and this was created not as a method of fortune telling. It's a way to preserve knowledge. The Kabbalah is an ancient Jewish tradition, and it got caught up into mysticism in the 1800s, which is great. It's a wonderful tool. It's an amazing thing to work with. But if you notice, Boaz and Joaquin are reversed. The reason why is because this particular card is designed to teach about what's called the middle pillar meditation. That meditation is in part balancing between the energies, balancing between those pillars, the pillar of mercy and the pillar of severity, Boaz and Hakim, by working on the middle pillar, the mild pillar, and meditating on the Sephiroth that are in the center there, which is almost the exact process you would use for a chakra meditation. The reason that the two pillars are reversed is because in that meditation, when you're working it, instead of viewing the Kabbalah as external, as a map of the cosmos, a map of existence, of universe, of creation, you're looking at it from an internal perspective where you're seeing it inside of you, looking out as an essence of the creation of mankind, humanity. And you're working on balancing those energies within yourself. Very similar to the concept of balancing chakras, balancing that energy. The second reason I want to put the tarot card in there is to mention that here in a few weeks I'm going to be teaching a class, and it is Tarot Secrets of the Golden Dawn. Some of you may know what a big deal that is, that I'm actually going to teach that. Others, you're just probably wondering what the hell that means. So we've looked at what a chakra is and why they're in the locations they're in. It's because those are spots where all of the energy pathways cross and converge. That's why you have that circular wheel of energy there. It's like when you put positive and negative together, you get a spark. It's the same concept with your chakras. Now, there's another piece to this puzzle that is followed in some traditions. The concept of the energy body. If you ever heard talk about auras and visualizing and things like that, that's similar in part to the concept of the energy bodies. And in some of the exercises in Kundalini, like Earth to Sky Kriya, what you're doing is you're working on cleansing those energy bodies and ritualistically bring them into harmony, so to speak. We're not going to get deep into that tonight. I've got some stuff later on in this course that talks about that in detail. But for now, just know that they exist. So now that we've talked about some of the elements that make up the entire chakra system, let's back up a minute and talk about some of the meanings that we have assigned to the individual chakras. I say assigned because that was not always the way the chakras were meant to be. For our purposes, we're going to go with the Western tradition of the 7 chakras and accept their defined meanings as is commonly understood. The colors of the chakras correspond to a frequency. Colors are frequency just like sound and energy is. So that's why you see the different colors on the chakras. It represents the different frequency that we associate with that chakra. And you'll find that a lot in sound healing. If you've ever been to a sound bath, which some of you probably have, the bowls used, the frequencies on those bowls correspond with the frequency of the chakra you're working on and the frequency of that color. The root chakra is generally concerned with stability, concerned with feeling safe, secure in all manners of life, really. I'm going to go through these very simply to try to get through our chakras real quick. We're going to move to something else. Again, I have a complete breakdown of every single chakra with all of the things that correspond to it, the frequencies. I've got chakra meditations for every single chakra. I have everything that you can think of on the individual chakras in the online course that this is a little briefing on. I'll mention that a little bit later on, but if you want to know the real nitty-gritty details on the individual chakras, all that's there, along with more detail on everything we talked about so far. The sacral chakra is about creativity. It's about sexuality. It's about pleasure and enjoying life and being able to do so. Now, understand that if a chakra is wide open, then you may put a little too much emphasis into these aspects of your life. If it's closed, then you're not going to be able to enjoy those things, and it's going to keep you from really functioning on that level. That's why it's important that they are balanced, so that you're not too far to the right, too far to the left, not too far to the severe pillar or to the pillar of mercy, that you're going down that middle pillar balanced where everything's okay. So, moving on. Solar chakra, you're talking about your self-confidence and self-esteem, personal power, and that affects a lot of other things in your life too. You know, the solar being right, that really gives you the ability to stand out and do some things that you might not feel comfortable doing if it wasn't. Heart chakra, love, compassion, including self-love. Another important part of the heart chakra is it's kind of the gateway between your lower chakras, which are more to do with the physical world, and once you get past the heart chakra, that's when you get into the cerebral. That's when you get into more things about esoteric ideas, about knowledge, about wisdom, about having a greater understanding for things, intellect. The heart chakra is kind of the key. And that's why when you're doing a Kundalini awakening, a lot of times you'll be taught to start with the lower chakras and get the Kundalini flowing there. When you get to the heart chakra, work for a little while. Don't open it all up at once. Get to the heart chakra. Make sure those lower chakras are flowing like they should. Then after that, you work on your higher chakras. Once those are complete, then you work on opening up that Kundalini flow in the heart chakra to allow those two to connect. That makes it a little bit easier to balance and to make things work like it's supposed to. But if you're taking the class, talk to your teacher about that, and they will explain that whole bit. But you always want to have that heart as a buffer between the material and the cerebral. Now, the throat chakra is about speaking truth. It's about communication. It's about communication even with yourself. So it doesn't necessarily mean if your throat chakra needs work that you're not opening up and speaking to other people, you're not doing the things like that. It might mean you're not communicating well with yourself and you're not as self-aware as you could be. But the throat chakra is about communication internally and externally. The third eye. All right, I could do an hour on the third eye, but I'm not going to. Like I say, there actually is a ton of information on that in the full course. But for our purposes, the third eye is about intuition, understanding, sometimes psychic abilities. It's a powerful tool, but one that should not be taken lightly. For now, let's just call the third eye intuition and understanding. The crown chakra has some very deep esoteric implications. It's about those downloads where you just suddenly understand something. It's about those aha moments. Again, it goes very deep, well deeper than the scope of this quick little class. For now, let's just call it intellect and wisdom. With the divine. So now let's take a look and see how the chakras work with some other systems that are more modern and more well known. There are correspondences that you can make in. So this seemingly ancient system, our chakras, correspond to a lot of the theories of modern psychology, among other things. So if you look at the chart we've got up here, this is Carl Jung's stages of individualization. And those stages correspond almost directly with the 7 chakras. The idea of the 7 bodies corresponds with some of modern psychology's ideas about how the brain works and parts of intellect. We can even take that a step further and tie in the different chakras and what their meanings are with different physical parts of the brain. You can tie chakras in with neuroscience. This is almost a universal system to allow you to understand yourself and the world around you, physically, mentally, and spiritually. This also works with Christian theology. This is one of those things where if you apply it properly, it gives you a foundation to build upon, to have a pathway and a direction to work on the things about yourself that you want to change. Internal alchemy is making the conscious decision to build the person that you want to be, to fix the things that you want to fix about yourself, improve the aspects of you that you like, and tone down the ones that you don't, to be the person that you want to be. And the chakra system is a good way to do that. I just recently went through all the exercises, all the work, all the Kundalini work for all 7 of my chakras. And That is a powerful and transformational experience. If you go through it and you do all the things that you really need to make it work. If you focus on awakening the Kundalini, balancing all those things, balancing your chakras, balancing your life, getting grounded, find that middle ground, that middle pillar where you're not too harsh and you're not too soft. Find the middle ground. It's powerful, it's transformational, and it works. I just want to say thanks, guys. I really appreciate y'all being here for this. I'm so grateful, and I'm going to try to put out as much stuff as I can and share as much knowledge as I possibly can. Thanks, guys. So, I guess for tonight, that's it. I did have a guided meditation built for you guys, but unfortunately, I couldn't figure out how to get that logged into this thing in time. So, I'll drop some of those this week, and there'll be another one of these next Wednesday night on a different topic. And I'll send all that information out on the site. And if you're not there already, please go out and follow my Internal Alchemy Facebook page or on all the other platforms, guys. I pay a little more attention to Facebook, so I'm sorry if I didn't give you guys as much love, but I'm going to do these on a regular basis. And again, I am blessed and grateful to know each and every one of y'all. Thank you, and good night.